Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing podcast. Each week, John Kasman interviews multifamily and marketing experts to teach you how to find the best places to invest, attract investors, and grow your portfolio. You are listening to Target Market Insights with your host, John Kasman.
Let's welcome to the show, Marques Ogden.
How you doing, sir? Thanks for having me on, John. You all right?
Absolutely, Marques. Hey, I'm doing great. Listen, it's great to talk to you. Went over your bio a little bit earlier, but for people who are listening, why don't you give us a little bit more context on your background and your experience?
Yeah, I'm a former NFL athlete. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. My brother, Jonathan, was the Ravens' first draft pick in 1996. He's actually the youngest Hall of Famer in the NFL. He's a couple months younger than Barry Sanders when he was introduced, and it's really, really fantastic. And really and truly, how I'm really doing now is I'm a national, international keynote speaker, executive coach, consultant. I've written 2 best-selling books, and I have a lot of clients that are in the real estate business. My one client, Abel Pacheco, how you found me, is in multifamily. We're in a deal together, and I've been coaching Abel now for about a year and a half. He's had a 31% growth in his net worth and working with me for the last year and a half. You know, he's really, truly now about the 7-figure net worth point, and he has had a nice increase, again, 31% in the last, almost 18 months of working with me and our brand as his coach. And he's a great client, a great friend to, work with.
Marques, that's amazing, especially to have that kind of impact on someone like Abel, and a good guy just actually interviewed to be on his podcast. We'll certainly link to that in the show notes here. You mentioned your NFL career, right? And just really tight line, having your NFL career. Your brother also is one of the youngest Hall of Famers. As a Cleveland Browns fan and Cleveland native, I think he was literally the first draft pick of the Ravens, right? So, having all of those things, certainly a strong background there. Talk a little bit about kind of your time in the NFL and more particularly that transition. What was that transition like when you decided, hey, you know what, playing days are over?
Well, the NFL was phenomenal. I learned a lot about leadership, a lot about structure, teamwork, hard work, all that, which was phenomenal. When I left the game, I struggled immensely with transition. I got hooked on alcohol. I got hooked on painkillers, hydrocodone, Vicodin. I got hooked on alcohol, gambling, nightlife, all the things bad, because I wasn't prepared for the transition. I wasn't ready to leave the game. I had a back injury. I was still young. I was 27. And I was like, well, I'm still here. I'm still good enough. Let's keep going. And the game was not, I was not as good at the game as I was in the past. And because of that, it was time to move on. But I wasn't ready to move on. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have a structure. And that's why those 6 months after retirement, I was done playing football, I struggled for a really long time trying to find myself and redefine who I was and where I was going to be heading in my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing. And unfortunately, we hear that story, especially from athletes. But I mean, even for anyone who's making that transition, if you've identified yourself as something for a long time, if this is the thing that you were doing and you get thrust into something different, you can go down a downward spiral. I know of a gentleman who, he just got fired from his job. Was working in corporate America, but he lost his job, and he had the same identity issues where he didn't know how to make that transition. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are in a similar place right now, trying to find their way, trying to figure out, who they are, who are they supposed to become, and how do they get out of that funk? How did you get out of that funk?
Well, what happened was, I found a construction company because I just kind of went to a couple different programs and I met some people, and it helped me to kind of get myself recharged. And when I ended up buying the company and finding the right partner and the right staff, we grew immensely to an 8-figure a year business. We had, real estate. We were in construction. We did demolition. We did concrete. We did residential. We did commercial. We did some multifamily projects. We were, part of the development team. And we had a really extensive background by the time my company reached its height of 8 figures a year in business. But unfortunately, the company had a lot of success, and my ego was not really prepared to handle all of that because I was just driven by money. fame. I call that the motivating external forces and factors. And due to that, I ended up getting myself in a really, really bad position where I didn't listen to people. And I stopped listening to my best employee who then left the organization. 6 months later, I filed a bankruptcy, lost everything. Again, lost, had to redefine myself. Moved to Raleigh, North Carolina in April 2013 with $400 to my name. That's all I had left. As a result of that, I got myself into a really, really tough spot where I was working a couple jobs and I got fired from Merrill Lynch after a short time, after a couple months, all my fault. Went to another job, a construction company. The next day was fired 5 days later. And I literally took a job as a custodian, making $8.25 an hour, working on the graveyard shift from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. And when I got to Raleigh in 2013, April, I had $400 to my name. We were 1 week away from being homeless. We were eating out of food pantries. We were just basically scraping by, getting by after an NFL career and an 8-figure construction annual earning revenue business empire. And I had to redefine myself again when I was a custodian, when somebody's trash and rotten meat and banana peels and spoiled milk all over my bare skin, my body, and my clothes. And that's when I realized at that time that I was needing to get some accountability, some structure, and some ownership back in my life. And when I did that, I said, okay, I'm going to come home and I'm going to write down the 3 biggest strengths I possess. So if someone is struggling with a transition right now, write down your 3 biggest strengths. What do you do best? Then from there, compute off those strengths what you think you should be doing if you're trying to find a new path or a new way. And I said, wow, I'm good with people. I can tell stories and I want to help people learn from my mistakes. So I computed, let's be a speaker. And at that time, I said, all right, let's go be a speaker. Took me 2.5 years, John, not one paid job. And now I, finally got my first paid job, April 2016. So I've been doing this now for a little over 7 years. I started in September 2013, and I've worked in the last 4.5 years for 17 Fortune 500 companies. I've authored 2 best-selling books, which my wife is actually our ghostwriter. I have about 35 one-on-one coaching clients, and I would say about 40% of my coaching clients are in real estate, multifamily, commercial, investors. 'Cause I have a background in that. I've been in that business I was in it for 6 years, and I made a lot of money. And I have success that I can teach you, and I have things that I can show you that you don't want to do. So I have like the both sides of the fence story. And I have a lot of consulting clients. One of my largest consulting clients is a large food product company that's based out of Elwood, Indiana. So in real terms, people need to write down their 3 biggest strengths and they need to build from there.
That's a powerful insight right there. No matter where you're at, if you're in a funk, and as we're recording this, we're right before the holidays, and New Year's resolutions, 2021 plans is going to be in full effect. Is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you now, because people are trying to figure out how do they overcome maybe a lackluster 2020, or maybe you just didn't accomplish the goals that you had for yourself. How do you get to the success? And you just laid out a great starter, right? Write down the 3 things that you are best at. And if you can identify those things, now you have an area of strength that you can build from, as opposed to focusing on just what you want. Focus on what you're good at, and then figure out how do you go out and get compensated and build a business based on those things. I want to talk a little bit about how you kind of just mentally, you made some pretty huge swings and transitions. You talked about going from the NFL to going into your construction business, growing that to 8 figures, and ultimately losing that, getting into some different challenges there, and getting to the point where you end up taking a job as a custodian. Just mentally, how did you stay mentally tough throughout that time period, enough to get to the point where you could say, hey, you know what, there's still something more that I can be or that I can become?
There's 3 things you have to have a super strong mindset. Number 1, you have to have good physiology. You have to move with energy. You have to be positive. You have to think good thoughts. and you have to be spunky, and you have to be very vibrant and just lively. If you move slow, or if you move with no conviction, no passion, it's going to put you in a state of just feeling like you can never do anything correct. That's number one. Number two, you have to control your mental focus. Focus on your strengths, focus on what you do well, focus on your goals. Don't focus on all the others around you, all the noise, all the negativity. 99% of people, John, told me I would fail as a speaker, coach, consultant. Because I didn't have what it takes. I should just go be a football coach and just basically live life and be average my entire life. That was never what I wanted to do. And I had to control my mental focus and not let, negativity or thoughts around me get the best of me. And third, you have to believe at your core that you deserve to succeed. And that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about that last one. I think most people, I read a book and it was talking about most people want to be successful, but they may not necessarily believe that they deserve it. Can you just elaborate on that last point? I know there's some nuance in there. I just want you to build on that.
Well, here's the thing, right? So everybody deserves to have a chance to have success. If you're not going to step into the passion of what you're doing and align yourself with where you want to go, then it's not going to get you where you need to be. So really and truly, it really comes down to you putting into your mind and your thought process on a daily basis that you do deserve to succeed. And at all costs, if you don't want to succeed, then don't even start the journey. Like, don't even bother getting up and doing all the hard work if you don't believe you can succeed, because otherwise, what are you doing it for? Just to waste time or just to take up time? You could find some other better things to do. So you have to really believe at your core that you deserve it. And when you believe it, and it's your everyday thought process, then things can happen for you on a grander scale.
No, I love it. I appreciate you sharing that insight. Let's talk a little bit about you as a speaker. You know, you mentioned all the stages you've been able to cross, the coaching clients that you have. How did you kind of hone your speaking skills and learn how to tell stories in a more impactful way? Is there any tips or tricks you developed there?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a program at Penn State called the NAPSA program, put on by the retired NFLPA, and that was huge for me. They don't have it anymore. My coach, who started it, I still work with him, but the program is no longer, unfortunately, which is too bad. It was an amazing program, but I learned how to take my football prowess, my past business experience, all these different things. I learned how to take that and put it into a process where I was able to show people, right, that I deserve to be on a stage. But again, you have to start at the bottom. Everybody starts at the bottom. And if you don't want to start at the bottom, then don't bother starting. And the one piece of advice I'm going to give people, lean on your inner circle. That's how I got my first non-paid corporate client, was NetApp, a Fortune 500 company that I trained both his kids in football technique. As a result of that, I was able to get myself on their stage, and I was able to get a testimonial letter, and I was able to continue to build my audience from there. And so that's kind of how it worked itself out. And it just started by just continuing to move in that path and not say, hey, I should be at the top. Hey, I should be getting paid $10,000. Hey, like, everybody has to understand, when you're starting something new, especially something like speaking, it's really about you just getting out there and having, you need to have four big things. Okay, number one, you have to have a good website. People need to be able to go to your website and see what you got going on. Two, you need to have great videos. Videos tell the story, and it paints a picture for people that you can do what you say you can do. Third, you have to have testimonials. And fourth, client logos. Again, even if you don't get paid from that client, you're kind of starting out, getting their logos and testimonial letters on your website will build what I call your speaker archive. When you have a speaker archive, then you can put yourself in great position to achieve success, period.
Those four great tips right there. If you are looking to be a speaker, and I think this is true for really anybody trying to build a personal brand. You want a website, you want to have some great videos because that's something that people can watch real time and get a sense of how you are in action. You have your testimonials and then logos, right? I mean, you want to borrow that credibility from these other brands, these other well-known companies, because what it tells people is that, hey, if these companies have, trusted this individual to come and speak at their events, you can trust them to come and do the same thing. One of the things that jumped out to me, and even at the very first part of our conversation, you talked about the challenges that you faced, and you're pretty open and honest about, your struggles. And I would say you're pretty vulnerable and you're comfortable in that vulnerability. For many people starting out, sharing their story, trying to connect with other people, it can be hard to open up and put themselves in a position to be vulnerable. Talk about that as well and how important it is to actually be truthful, transparent, and vulnerable with your story.
People don't want to be around someone that hasn't experienced some sort of struggle, adversity, or overcome some sort of loss. Why do you think Rocky has been now going to its sixth decade in our world? 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, now 2020 with Creed 3 coming out. Everybody loves a hero story, a hero journey. But here's the catch: telling your story in a way that you can show people or tell people how to learn from your mistakes, not looking for them to feel sorry for you. That's the way you have to do it. And when you're talking as a speaker, telling your story and not providing action steps is not enough. Because if you just do it that way, you're a motivational speaker. If you want to be an inspirational, life-changing personality speaker, you need to give them your story that really relates most of your life to the topic they've hired you for. And you need to give them action steps that they can put into their life. And I'm actually going to I'm going to send you the link for the show notes. There's a new product we have coming out called Pivot. And we're working with a group out of London, and you can have access to it for $9.95 a month, $9.95 a month, on how to pivot. People are pre-enrolling right now, left and right. You can pre-enroll right now. They don't charge you anything. You can put it on hold until January. It's a great, 10-step masterclass for people to see how I pivoted from being an NFL athlete to a construction owner to now a keynote speaker. And right now, it's the word of our world: pivot, because a lot of us have been knocked off guard, caught off balance, and we've had to restructure, rebrand, and pivot to get where we want to be in life. So we made this up for people who wanted to really get something like that, but couldn't afford the high dollar, high ticket coaching. I coach a lot of people. I have about 35 one-on-one clients at this time that are high ticket coaching, and I love it. But some of the people I ran across, and I totally understand this, couldn't afford it because of the times we're in, and I get it. So we wanted to make something that was very simplistic, very easy to follow, for a very affordable price. So if you're really serious about pivoting, you could do so with the help of this course. We'll be launching it in January of next year. You can pre-enroll now. But again, the way you have to be comfortable in your story is every one of us has a past, made a mistake, which we could take something back. But the ones who can talk about it and be honest about it and not worry about what people think about it, then those are the ones that can help the most people. Every one of us has made a mistake, but the ones who can share those mistakes in a very authentic manner are the ones that can help us get where we're trying to go.
Yeah, I think it takes perspective too, right? I mean, it helps to get a bit removed from that so you can actually understand how to share that story in a way where it can help other people, as opposed to just saying, hey, here's what happened to me, woe is me, right? So actually being in a position where people can learn from your experiences and use that to grow. I mean, great stuff. We'll definitely make sure we link to the Pivot program in our show notes. Anybody looking for that, certainly just check that out. I want to talk about coaching as well, because, as you connect with people, as you work with people, as they're looking to drive their own success. Some people are successful, and ultimately some people just struggle to see the progress that they're looking for. What do you think is the difference between the clients you have that are successful and reach their goals versus those who maybe struggle a little bit more and maybe don't see the same kind of results?
The clients that I work with that apply the information that we have talked about have massive success. The ones that don't do as quickly or doubt themselves or hold back don't have as much success. For example, one client of mine messaged me today. He has to stop the coaching program because he's in financial strain, which I understand. I've been coaching him now for 6 months. He has not once done anything I told him to do as far as posting on social media. He doesn't follow up with people consistently. He's always waiting and he's not getting the results. So he's not making any money. Two of my clients, one, Abel Pacheco, follows my stuff to the T. Abel started his podcast because I told him to. He has a great following, great story. He's done that. He's reached out to more people. He's becoming an influencer. 31% increase in his net worth in 18 months. One of my other clients who's out in Colorado, real estate, he's had an 87% increase in his revenue of selling homes. He sold 6.2 million. He sold 6.2 million, he told me, at the end of 2019. He's going to close this year at 10.6 million. And he gives me, which I'm so humble, he credits me and my coaching with his 87% increase in revenue to his home sales business. He applied the knowledge I taught him, social media, the networking calls, the marketing calls, the pivot, everything we talked about laid out, all the different processes. He's literally applied all of them. As a result, he's had massive success. Another one of my clients, she has had massive success in her following and getting booked now for big speaking gigs because I've told her how to post, when to post, what to do, how to structure, how to create content. She's having great success. All of my clients that are listening to what we talk about and applying the steps that we go over in the program are having great success. Again, Abel, 31% increase in his net worth in 18 months. My client, Robert, out of Colorado, 87% increase in the bottom line revenue of his home selling, went from 6.2 to 10.8 million in close and home sales for this year to close out 2020. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, the big takeaway for me is just actually implementing the advice. And I think this is something that many coaches, have to deal with. But when you're working with someone, you can give them the roadmap. You can give them the answers to the test, but the work still has to get done. You still have to go out there and look at deals. You have to underwrite deals. You have to talk to people. You have to post on social media. You have to follow up. The work has to be done. And those that implement these techniques are going to see success. So if you find yourself struggling or not seeing the success, one, if you're listening to this show, you should be seeing a bit more success because we're bringing these kind of guests that are helping you, with information you need to break through. So make sure you're actually implementing the things and not just listening to this conversation. We've talked earlier about writing down the 3 things that are your strengths. Do that. Actually write it down, whether it's on your phone or a piece of paper. Write down your strengths, sit in the corner and think about it, and then start to think about how do you move forward. But, you gave some great tips, Marcus, about really understanding and implementing when you have mentors, coaches in your corner who are showing you the way, teaching you how to be successful or how to achieve that next breakthrough. Implement that. And if you don't have those people in your corner, seek them out. Marcus, for folks who do want to connect with you or learn a little bit more about your coaching program or some of the other things you have going on, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
They can reach me through our website, www.marques, M-A-R-Q-U-E-S, Ogden, O-G-D-E-N.com. They can also shoot us an email, marques@marquesogden.com. Or you could just go on our website. There's a text me chat. Send us a text. Connect with us. Reach out. We love to chat with people, have discussions and dialogue to help anyone achieve success. Again, I'm going to email you the Pivot program link. It's a great way for people who want to get a new start to the year. They can kind of get on that and learn how I pivoted from being bankrupt and almost homeless, almost 8 years ago to where I am today. So definitely they can connect with us on our website, choose an email or choose a text, and the text me chat is on our website.
All right, we're going to go to our Bullseye Round. You ready?
Yep.
Give me a failure or an apparent failure that sets you up for later success.
Losing my construction company.
Give me a digital resource, digital or mobile resource, you recommend for your business.
I would tell people really and truly Google. Like, that's huge to help you start your business, learn some information. It's all there on the web.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
My second book, The Success Cycle. I've given that out to a lot of people. People have bought it. I've gifted it to a lot of people as well, to give them a chance to know how to have ambition, drive, and hard work to succeed in their path.
All right, give me one more that you weren't involved with.
Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success by Steve Harvey.
Okay. All right, give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
Going to the gym every day.
What's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
I wish I would have learned the importance of listening to your key team members. That would have helped me not lose my construction company and my real estate business.
What are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about what's going to happen in 2021 and how the world's going to form a new president, hopefully get this coronavirus vaccine going. How's it going to shape up for people going forward?
All right, and you mentioned before that you were in the Carolinas, at least at one point. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, okay. So give me the best place to grab a bite in Raleigh.
It's called Skippy's. It's a seafood restaurant over by Chapel Hill. We just found through my in-laws. Great seafood restaurant. Probably about 30 minutes from our house, but it's well worth the ride.
All right, Skippy sounds like a good one there. All right, Marques, you gave a lot of great information, man. I really enjoyed listening to your story from, NFL player to your own construction company, multi-million-dollar construction company, to, falling off and then kind of having to pick yourself up, becoming a custodian, ultimately becoming a speaker, author, and coach, and helping so many other people, have the breakthroughs that they're looking for. Again, for folks who want to learn more, give us your contact information one more time.
They can go to www.marquesogden.com. They can shoot me an email at marcus@marquesogden.com, or you can shoot a text on our website, the Text Me Chat, and just connect with us. You can talk to us on LinkedIn, Marques Ogden. Instagram is @Marques Ogden. Twitter is @Marques_Ogden. And Facebook is Marques Ogden. Connect with us today.
Marques, pleasure having you on the show, man. You take care. It's good talking to you.
You too, man. Have a great one, John. Thanks a lot.